Dom Nation? It's your boy, Dom ITG, back again with another video. Make sure to subscribe, smash that like button. Sometimes you have a long day, you're just feeling a little frisky, the mood is right, you're ready to experiment, try something new. You want something that's hard and long. I'm talking about when you're ready to get sweaty. Maybe really sweaty. Maybe you're going to have to apply a little extra lube about halfway through. Maybe a little baby powder. No judgment. Maybe your girlfriend isn't around, so you invite a couple friends over to give you a hand. And who knows? Maybe you're streaming online to a campsite. Make a couple bucks while you're at it. You know what I'm talking about. ITG marathons. You might have seen Etienne's video on last trip. There is a long ITG song that is very difficult that a lot of people spend a lot of effort trying to pass. That song is a marathon. There's a lot of marathons in ITG, and they've been a lot more popular in recent years. This is mostly a stamina thing, but there's a couple marathons of like other types of charts. But for now, let's just focus on stamina because that's the majority of them. Before I explain what a marathon is, let's talk about a course. If you've ever played DDR, I'm sure you've seen the courses that they have in DDR. There's a few songs put together and they make a course. So you play one song and then you immediately go into the next song and so forth and so forth. But they are individual songs that are connected together to make the entire course. A marathon is a little different. A marathon is one song that is extremely long. It's essentially like taking a mixtape or, some very, very, very long piece of music and stepping the entire thing in one go. As far as like Stepmania knows, it's one song, but it just happens to be like an hour or two. Another difference between courses and marathons is that courses will have a natural break in between each song. Usually stamina songs will have a little bit of an intro before they get really started. So a course kind of is a little bit easier if you think about it because it's like one song after another. But a marathon, depending on the music and how it's mixed, it can kind of be non-stop essentially. Some of these marathons that I'm going to talk about don't have any breaks at all. In recent years, more people have been playing marathons and less people have been playing courses. And that's probably just due to the fact that marathons are easier to distribute and pass around and stuff than courses, which have a different structure and is more involved. Now, I am definitely more of a stamina guy, but foot speed is a whole other thing, and it's essentially going as fast as you can, not putting so much weight in the length of the song or how many measures you're actually putting out, but really more on the speed of those measures. With stamina, it's more about how long can you last doing the longest streams possible. And in that regard, a marathon is kind of like the ultimate expression of stamina. These songs are very long. They are, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then the longest one that I know of is like 7 hours. That's a long time to be standing on your pad, potentially holding a bar, and dancing without failing. So I thought it would be fun to look at some of the longest stamina marathons so we can kind of see what's out there. Now keep in mind, when I show you these marathons, I'm going to show you the density graph. And if you haven't seen that, it shows the density of arrows across the entire song. So if there's a long stream, you'll see like a big block. And if there's a lot of breaks, you'll see those blocks broken up or nothing. But one thing to keep in mind when looking at a marathon is that there's no time scale there. It's like 100%. So if the song is 10 minutes long or 10 hours long, it'll kind of look the same. Depending on the content that's in it. So just keep that in mind. The length of the song really doesn't show there. Now, as you can imagine, it's very difficult to play a marathon in a public arcade. Well, it happens. People, they know the arcade owners. They can hack their own songs on, especially with ITG. And I think it's awesome. It's pretty cool. regardless, whatever the setup is, it's probably more difficult to play a marathon in a public space than at a private one. I understand that. I acknowledge that. So, if you don't have an ITG setup at home, number one, you should get one. ITG is a great thing to have in your house. But yeah, if you don't have access to ITG in your house, you might not be playing marathons, and that's okay. I think marathons are super exciting. They are really so much fun to play. When you play your first marathon, it's like it's a whole different world. It really is. I mean, you might be used to getting through a 5 or 6 minute song, but when it's 60 minutes, there are all these new problems that come up. I'm thirsty, or my hand hurts holding the bar, or I'm just tired. I'm tiring out way too early. Halfway through, I'm getting sweat on the pads, and now it's all sticky, and it's like 10 times as hard. I can't tell you how many people have failed marathons in a very dramatic way because it's so easy. I mean, you go try to grab your furniture polish, you spray it, and you failed. Or your pad just acts up. I mean, it's, a lot of us have kind of jank FSR pads nowadays. It's easy to kick a wire or something, in a 2-hour period. Yeah, another thing to keep in mind is that your software just might bug out. I mean, for the case of the marathon that's 7 hours long, if you have a little memory leak or something, or if you get a Windows update or who knows what. So the stakes are really higher with marathons, and that's what makes it so exciting. If you tune into Twitch and you see someone playing a marathon, stick around because it's going to be a lot of fun. Even if you're comfortable at that BPM, so much can go wrong. There is just this inherent challenge in a marathon. For the days where I'm just trying to get exercise, the marathon is what I go to because it forces me to just put out a lot of energy and just get a ton of steps in a really quick amount of time. Compared to when I'm doing my normal set, I'm talking on stream and I'm getting lazy and trying to choose a song. I have so many packs to choose from. I'm wasting a lot of time. But with a marathon, it's just go for the next hour. And at the end of it, you feel like I really accomplished something. So another concept to keep in mind when you're evaluating a marathon, and this is where the density graph comes in, is arrowless breaks. There are usually a lot of breaks in marathons, but there are some notable ones that don't have any, like Who's Afraid of 138. That's just one complete stream of 2,000 measures. But usually there are some breaks, but there is different types of breaks. There are breaks that it's normally it's 16th note stream, which is pretty dense, but it might just break to 8th note stream. So you're not streaming anymore at your maximum speed or at a very fast speed. You're just kind of stepping and okay, it's I can cool down now. If it doesn't give you a special type of break called an arrowless break, meaning that there's no arrows at all for a set amount of time, then you really can't put some more polish on your pad or take a sip of water or wipe the sweat off your brow. Those marathons are very difficult. The people who are making charts in East Coast Stamina right now, they are very conscious of the fact that you need some arrowless breaks. If you don't put arrowless breaks in your marathon, it's gonna lead people to get injured because they're pushing through sweat falling down their face or slipping on their bar when they're trying to hold on to it. All of these things can kind of build up over time, and the chance that somebody's gonna hurt themselves gets higher. So step artists like Rems, who make a lot of marathons, he's very conscious of putting in arrowless breaks, at least in the newer marathons that he's making. I think that's awesome. That's really cool that they're aware of that and that they're trying to put that in. So because all of these potential problems, these potential ways that you can fail the song, this very long song that you're putting a lot of effort into, which may have arrowless breaks or may have none or may only have one, and you have to know when it is, because of all these problems, people tend to do this thing where they ask a friend to help out. Say, hey, I'm going to play a marathon. It's an hour and a half long, and I need you to just hand me some water in this little tiny break. Or, if I need a towel, pass it to me so I can wipe my face. Or spray some polish on my pad because it might get sticky. We call this a pit crew. Just like in NASCAR where, you got your pit crew helping you out. I've had pit crews in the past. I feel like I always mistreat them. I'm always like a total asshole when I speak to them because it's just like I am under so much stress right now. Communicating with somebody makes me just talk like a jerk. So because of that, and because I don't have a lot of IRL friends that I play ITG with, I usually do my marathons with no pit crew. And there are a lot of people who do that. That's normal. It's like an extra challenge. You can think of it that way. But it means that when you start your marathon, you got to make sure you have polish on your pad. You got to make sure that you have a towel or two within reach. Your water is maybe on a little table next to you or something. But in the case that you don't have any arrowless brakes, you just got to like YOLO it. So yeah, no pit crew is a Chad move, but if you do have a pit crew, cherish the fact that you have friends who are willing to put up with your stupid hobby. I think my personal favorite marathon is Stay Cheeky Breeky. It's only a 16, but I think it's kind of a difficult 16. It's got a lot of breaks, just a bunch of short runs, and the mix is so good. It's such a fun marathon to play. This is when I want to work out and I just want to like throw something on. This is what I play. I think I've passed this like 7 or 8 times now. Highly recommended. Stay Cheeky Breeky was made by a guy named Rems. Rems is a Frenchman who is part of the ITG stamina scene. He not only steps a bunch of stuff, but he makes content himself. So a lot of these mixes that are marathons are mixed by Rems. He's not the only one, but he's probably the one who with the most marathons out there. You should be interested in Rems, not for just his charts that he puts out, but also for his amazing mixes and stuff. I highly recommend everyone check out his YouTube channel because he posts like his new mixes there. This is what I believe are the 9 longest marathons for pad play. So the first one on this list is the longest marathon I've ever played, I think. And it's the 90s Dance Megamix. It's weird. I seem to remember a lot better music from the 90s, and it didn't really make its way into this mix. But that aside, it's pretty chill. It's got some varying BPMs. You can kind of see it's not all the exact same thing, but it's an hour and 53 minutes. That's nothing to shake a stick at. The next longest one is PEM-C, the Pendulum Essential Mix Complete. So this is PEM-A and PEM-E smushed together into one double marathon. It's an hour and 58 minutes, and as you can see, there are some faster sections that are like 210 or 220 or something like that, and they're right about halfway. So you're going through all of PEM-A, which is all 174, and then you start PEM-B, and you get hit with these runs of like 220 or whatever that is. It was a very difficult marathon. I've seen a couple of people play it, but I unfortunately have never done this one. If I ever get a 20 no bar, it's probably going to be something like this. Okay, the next one is kind of like a troll song. It's Eternal Nectar. It's a 21. It's 162 BPM, and it's 2 hours. So you might be thinking that you want to pass the 21, and hey, I just got to play some 160 for a couple hours. How hard could it be? Well, it's hard, and it doesn't help that this mix is actually the song Nocturnal Nectar looped. So you're listening to this kind of annoying song for like 2 hours. So people who play this, they put on a podcast or something else. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a secret message in this song, and it's pretty funny, and I could imagine someone playing this, getting to that message, and just being like laughing their ass off so much that they fail. But yeah, I've never been crazy enough to pass this. I mean, there's no breaks in it. It's Who's Afraid of 162, essentially, is one way you can think about it. But when you look at it and you're like, oh, well, I can get a 21 this way, it really does seem appealing. I do understand why people try to play it. So the next longest one is Life Starts at 200 BPM. This is in a newer pack called The Joy of Streaming, and I haven't played it. It's too difficult for me to play. But as you can see, there's a lot of breaks in here. So if you are very comfortable at 200 and you think you can do 2 hours of it with some little breaks in between, this seems like a great way to get into a 22 or potentially a 23. I don't know. Okay, so now we're off of the easy 2-hour songs and we're into the 3-hour territory. This one is Pure Madness. Pure Madness is a marathon from a pack called Scrapyard Kent, and it was part of SRPG2. This is 3 hours of a bunch of different BPMs, and it just gets faster and faster as you go along, which is terrible because, I mean, as you go along, you're getting more tired and tired, and it's just speeding up. Yeah, this one is particularly funny. I don't think that many people have passed this. It might only be like two or three people. And Jim played this on some really like shitty home pad. At the end of it, he took a photo, and it was just like a pool of sweat on the center panel of his pad that he was just like dancing through the entire time. Absolutely nuts. Next, we have Trilogy. It's 3 hours and 7 minutes, and as you can see, the BPMs are all over the place, and it speeds up as it goes near the ending. This was re-rated from a 25 to a 26, I believe, and it was in both SRPG 3 and 4, and I think it was a 26 in SRPG 4. Archie told me that only two people may have passed this, and that's probably Rust and Soft Tofu. Soft Tofu plays in shoes, by the way, so shout outs to him for making it through 3 hours of this. It's a pretty difficult marathon, and there are a couple arrowless sections, but I mean, this ends at like 2:25, which is pretty fast. The next one at 3 hours and 12 minutes, Journey to Legendary, 176 BPM, 21. So this is essentially, drum and bass speed for 3 hours plus. There are some breaks, but, there's not too many big ones. This was part of Stamina RPG 3. And here we are at 4 hours. This is the 140 BPM Stamina Killer. This is from a little bit before my time, Stamina RPG 1, but this is one continuous block of 140 for 4 hours. So this is like begging to like injure yourself. It's essentially Who's Afraid of 140 times 4. And if you're able to do it, if you can do 4 hours of 140, you can get yourself a cool 21. And finally, we're at the longest marathon, XS Project Collection Full. This is a 7-hour marathon ranging from 140 BPM to like 155. There's plenty of breaks, and then like 5.5 hours in, there's like a good chunk of like an hourless break. But think about this. It's 7 hours on the dance pad in one song. How do you go to the bathroom? And there's so many questions that are brought up with this marathon. And I guess the idea is that, you have to wait until that hourless break, like 5 hours in, to like go pee or something. All these jokes come from this marathon, like people wearing diapers and stuff. It's very difficult, and people really want to do it. To this day, I believe there are 7 people who have passed this marathon. If there's more and I forgot you or I didn't know, I'm sorry. Please let me know in the comments. Yeah, I mean, there's been times where I've thought that like I should attempt this thing. It just seems like such a frustrating thing, I mean, if you have any pain in your body at all, 3 hours in, dealing with that for 4 more hours, I just couldn't imagine. I just can't imagine it. Yeah. So I don't know if I'll ever step up to the plate here, but yeah, this is the longest marathon. It's 7 hours. It's like a whole work day, essentially. And this really goes to show that if you make a marathon, somebody out there is going to pass it, no matter how crazy it is. Let's not forget that Ku and Took both stepped this entire thing. This is not just like a stream dump. It's a 7-hour step file that they went through, and then they stepped all of this, which is that alone is crazy. So I know there are harder songs to play, there's harder marathons to play, but XS Project Full has always been like the final boss of marathons in my mind, just because it's so obscenely long. There was a very funny moment with this marathon when UVCat was playing it. He was playing it at his school. They had like a DDR club, and they had an ITG Didicab. So he's in his club room playing this song, and he's like, I don't know, 4 hours into it or something, and he's got this. It's like a homemade Gatorade that he made out of like a water jug. So he sets it down on the chair next to him because he doesn't have a pit crew, and the thing just like slowly tips over and then just starts dumping Gatorade on his player 2 side of the pad. It's crazy, and I'll link to it in below if you want to see it. But yeah, he ended up passing it. And he just kind of dealt with it. He's like, oh, well, I guess this is happening, and I just got to keep going. UVCat is an amazing player, by the way. There is this spreadsheet. It has like a listing of all the marathons. I remember seeing UVCat's version of that, where it was just like checked off the entire thing. He's probably played more marathons than anyone else. Not sure if that's true, but I like to believe it. Whether you're starting out with stamina, or you're a veteran, or someone who doesn't even play, who just likes watching my videos, I hope someday you get to check out what a marathon is like. Maybe on Twitch you'll see someone playing one and you'll be able to kind of know a little bit more about what's going on. They are very fun, and they can be, a source of a lot of grief for some people. So yeah, I love marathons, and hopefully now you'll have an appreciation for some of the longest ones. Now I also wanted to mention, as a bonus for everyone who actually watched the entire video, I made some more stickers. This time I made a lot more. So they are this foil 17. So this is like the Simply Love 17. It's kind of a meme. I don't know where it comes from, but I like 17. I got the shirt. I got the stickers. So if you're interested in getting some of these stickers, find me on the Stamina Nation Discord. Shoot me a PM with your full mailing address, and I will send you one, provided that you are in the US, sorry Canadians and everyone else, and that you do it within the next week or so. And if you do that, I will mail you a sticker for free. Till then, see you next time.